The lawyer didn't look at me when he slid the papers across the glass table. He pushed them toward my hands like I was just another signature on a busy day. Across from me, my best friend Catherine sat in my seat. Not beside me. Not with me. In my seat. She wore the blazer we once laughed about buying when we finally make it, and she smiled like this was a celebration. I scanned the first page. My name was there, then it wasn't. A clean line through my ownership. A new structure. A new sole managing partner. My mouth went dry. What is this? She leaned forward, voice soft, almost kind. It's business strategy, not betrayal. My hands shook as I flipped to the next page. The language was tight, legal, cold. It said I had agreed to step down. It said I had transferred my shares. It said I understood. I didn't sign this, I whispered. She exhaled like I was being difficult. You're thinking with your feelings. Investors want one face. I did what I had to do so we can get something in return. The lawyer cleared his throat. The filings were submitted this morning. I stood up so fast my chair scraped the floor. You filed this without me. Catherine's smile didn't move. I did it for us. Then my phone buzzed. Bank alert. Password changed. I tried to log into our company email while I was still walking out of the building. Wrong password. I tried the finance dashboard. Wrong password. I tried payroll. Locked. My heart slammed against my ribs. My fingers went numb. Every screen looked the same, an error message telling me I didn't belong. By the time I got to the office, I was running. I didn't care who saw. The receptionist, someone I had hired, stood up like she was nervous. I'm sorry. Your access. My badge, I said. Try my badge. She did, then shook her head. It's deactivated. Security came from the hallway. 2 men. New faces. One of them held out his hand, palm open. You can't go past reception. I stared at him. This is my business. He looked at his tablet. We were told you may become disruptive. We have instructions. Then he handed me an envelope. My name was printed on it in bold. Inside was a single page. Termination of role, effective immediately. I heard laughter somewhere deeper in the building. Familiar voices. My chest felt like it had been hollowed out. My phone rang, an employee. Why can't I access the shared drive? She asked. And why is everyone saying you were fired? I couldn't answer. I couldn't breathe. Then a notification popped up on my screen. Company-wide live stream starting now. The live stream was already live when I clicked it. Catherine stood in the conference room under bright lights. Behind her was our brand wall, our logo, something we designed together on a cheap laptop years ago. Now she stood in front of it alone. She looked straight into the camera like she had practiced this in the mirror. Today marks an exciting new chapter for the company, she said. We're evolving our leadership structure to meet investor expectations. Then she smiled and added, some roles will be transitioning out. Her eyes flicked to the side, toward someone off camera, and I felt sick because I knew what she was about to do. We appreciate all contributions, she continued, but we must move forward with unity. Comments started flooding in. Wait, where's the co-founder? Is she still involved? Who owns the IP now? Catherine laughed lightly. The company remains protected and centralized. That's what growth requires. Centralized. Meaning her. A manager's face appeared behind her, nodding like a trained puppet. Then Catherine said my name out loud. Lynn will be stepping back to focus on personal matters. Personal matters. Like I was unstable. Like I was the problem. I hit pause and stared at her frozen face. I wanted to throw my phone across the room. Instead, I walked back into the office lobby and said, loud enough for security to hear, tell her to come out. Security didn't move. The receptionist whispered. She said not to engage. My phone buzzed again. A message from Catherine. Stop embarrassing yourself. Meet me after. We'll talk. She agreed to meet me in the old storage room, our first office before success, before glass walls and investor dinners. The moment the door shut, I turned on her. You stole my company. She didn't flinch. She leaned against a shelf like she was tired of my drama. I didn't steal anything. You removed my name. I protected the business. She folded her arms. Investors were asking questions. They wanted clarity. One leader. And you decided that leader was you. She sighed like I was slow. Listen. This isn't betrayal. It's strategy. I did what I had to do so we can both get something in return. Both? I laughed, sharp and broken. I can't even open my email. That's temporary. Temporary. I stepped closer. You fired me. Optics, she said. We needed a clean story. My throat burned. You told people I'm transitioning out because of personal matters. Because it's kinder, she said, like that made it better. If they think you're unstable, they won't ask questions. I stared at her, stunned. You're using my reputation as a shield. She tilted her head. Stop making this emotional. You'll get a payout when we close the next funding round. But right now you need to cooperate. I didn't sign those papers. Her eyes narrowed. You did. No. She smiled again, small and cold. Then prove you didn't. As she walked past me, she added, almost casually, and be careful. If you make noise, I'll show them what I know about you. I froze. What you know? I repeated. She paused at the door. We shared secrets. Don't forget. Then she left me alone in the room that used to be ours. That night, I pulled out every old document I had saved. Partnership drafts, early investor decks, bank forms. I wasn't looking for comfort. I was looking for proof. I found the authorization page she had referenced. My signature was on it. At first glance, it looked right. The curve, the slant, the flourish at the end. But when I held it next to a real signature, the lie became obvious. Mine had pressure changes, real pauses, little tremors where my hand naturally slowed. This one was too smooth, too perfect. Like someone traced it. My stomach rolled. My hands went icy. I zoomed in on the scanned copy and saw faint drag marks, tiny inconsistencies where a pen hesitated on a line it didn't own. I sat back hard in my chair, like the air had been punched out of me. She forged me. I wanted to scream, but my apartment was silent, and silence made it feel more real. Then my phone chimed again. An email from the company's legal team. Notice. Mandatory arbitration hearing scheduled in 48 hours. Arbitration. Private. Quiet. Fast. A controlled place where she could bury me without public mess. I read the email twice, then a third time. She wasn't just taking the business. She was trying to erase my voice. That's when another message appeared, this one from a business partner who rarely contacted me directly. Don't respond to anything yet. Meet me tonight. Bring every document you have. We met in a small diner near the edge of town. Not trendy. Not loud. The kind of place where people mind their own business. Vernon slid into the booth across from me and didn't waste time. I saw the live stream, he said. My jaw clenched. Then you know she's painting me as the problem. She's painting herself as the only solution, he corrected. He placed a folder on the table. It was thick. Inside were printed emails, screenshots, logs, a timeline with dates and arrows. I flipped through them and felt my throat tighten. Board discussions I had never been invited to. Messages where she called me a risk. Notes where she said I was too sentimental to lead. I looked up. How did you get this? He didn't smile. I'm a partner. I have access when I push. My hands trembled as I turned another page. A calendar invite. Ownership restructure planning. Date, 3 months ago. 3 months, I whispered, while she was smiling in my face. He nodded. She has been building the story for a while. Preparing witnesses. Training staff. Cleaning her trail. I swallowed hard. Why are you helping me? He leaned forward. Because she tried to do it to me once. Years ago. She failed because I noticed. You didn't notice because you loved her. That stung, because it was true. He tapped one page with his finger. And because she made one mistake. What mistake? She thinks business strategy means nobody will check the details. He paused, then said the words that made my skin prickle. I can expose her. I stared at him. How? He slid one final sheet toward me. It was a bank access log. 2 device IDs. One was hers. The other wasn't mine. He met my eyes. Someone inside helped her forge this. The next morning, an email arrived in my personal inbox. Subject line, final settlement offer. It was written in polite, careful language. A payout. A confidentiality agreement. A non-disparagement clause. A deadline. Midnight. The number looked big until I did the math. It was a fraction of the value of what we had built. It wasn't compensation. It was hush money. Catherine texted right after. Sign it. It protects us both. Us. Like we were still a team. My chest burned with anger. I wanted to reply with every insult I could think of. But Vernon told me to stay calm. Do not show your hand, he had said. Let her think you're cornered. So I didn't answer. Instead, I reread the settlement terms. Buried in the middle was a line that made my blood run cold. You agree you have no further claim to company IP, past or future. Past or future. Meaning she wanted ownership of everything I ever created. The brand concepts. The product ideas. The strategies I wrote at midnight while she slept. She wasn't just removing me. She wanted to own my mind. I forwarded the settlement to my lawyer. My lawyer replied fast. Do not sign. This is a trap. I already knew. Then Vernon called. I found something else, he said. A second company. What do you mean? He paused. She has a backup plan. A shadow company registered under family names. Same line of business. Same services. My hands tightened around my phone. So she's preparing to collapse the old company and walk away clean. Yes, he said. And if she does, she'll blame you. My voice came out small. How do we stop her? We don't stop her, he said. We let her move, then we reveal what she can't escape. That afternoon, I sat on my bedroom floor with an old box of memories. Photos from school. Birthday cards. Notes we passed in class. 2 girls, smiling like we thought the world was simple. It hurt in a way business betrayal didn't even touch. Because this wasn't just a partner. This was the person who knew my fears. My weaknesses. My grief. She knew what could break me, and she used it like a weapon. My hands found an old phone I kept as a backup. It had years of messages saved. I charged it and scrolled until my eyes blurred. Then I found a voice note from 2 weeks ago. She had sent it after a small argument about budget priorities. Her voice was light, almost joking. But the words weren't. If you ever try to leave, she said, I'll ruin you first. I'm not losing what I built. What I built. Even then, she talked like I was already not included. I played it again, louder. The room felt smaller. This wasn't a sudden bad decision. This was her nature coming out when pressure rose. I saved the voice note, then backed it up 3 different ways. My phone vibrated. Another message from an employee. People are saying you stole money. Is that true? My stomach dropped. She wasn't just taking the company. She was staining my name so nobody would stand beside me. A new text came through, this time from a staff member I trusted. I can't talk at the office. Meet me after work. I have something you need. We met in a quiet car park behind a grocery store. She looked around like she expected someone to jump out. Her hands were shaking as she opened her bag. I shouldn't be doing this, she whispered. Then don't, I said gently. I won't force you. She swallowed. I owe you. You hired me when nobody else did. She pulled out a USB drive. They told me to delete the shared folder. All the drafts. All the backups. My chest tightened. Who told you? She did. And the finance director stood behind her like a guard. Finance director. That matched the second device ID Vernon had shown me. I couldn't delete everything, she continued. I pretended I did. But I copied some of it. She handed me the USB like it was fragile glass. What's on it? I asked. Screenshots of instructions, she said. And a folder labeled Newco. Newco. The shadow company. My fingers closed around the drive. Why are you risking this? Tears filled her eyes. Because she made you look crazy. And you're not. She's the liar. I nodded, slow. Thank you. She flinched at a sound, someone's car door. Then she whispered, there's more. I heard her say she has something ready for arbitration. Something to destroy you. My blood ran cold. What? I don't know, she said. But it sounded personal. Then she walked away fast, like being near me could be contagious. When I opened the USB at home, my hands trembled so much I almost dropped my laptop. There were screenshots of internal chat messages. Catherine writing, clear as day. Remove her access by Monday. Train managers to repeat the same message. If she pushes back, say she's unstable. Delete drafts. We own it now. I stared at the words until my eyes burned. Then I opened the folder labeled Newco. Inside were documents. A new brand draft, copied product descriptions, and something that made me sit upright. A spreadsheet titled, Transfer Plan, Phase 2. Phase 2. So I was only Phase 1. Phase 2 involved moving assets to the shadow company, leaving debts behind, and relaunching without liabilities. I scrolled to the bottom and saw a note. If co-founder disputes, release file set A. File set A. My heart pounded. I searched the folder for A. There it was, a subfolder with my name. Inside were screenshots of private messages from years ago. Personal secrets. Things I had said in pain and trust. Old confessions. She planned to use my worst moments as a weapon. I leaned back, shaking. Then my phone rang. It was Vernon again. I got confirmation, he said. The second device ID belongs to your finance director's company-issued phone. I swallowed. So he helped her. Yes, he said. But I think he's scared now. Scared of what? She's not paying him what she promised, he said. And there's debt behind all this. She's desperate. I looked at the folder again. She's willing to burn everything, I whispered. He replied, calm and firm. Then we make sure she burns under spotlight, not in the shadows. We didn't go straight to court. We went to the truth. Vernon filed formal requests for compliance logs. He used his authority as a stakeholder and demanded the bank security records. I sat beside him in his office as the files arrived. Timestamps, device locations, access trails. Catherine had logged in at 2:13 a.m. from her home network. The finance director's device logged in at 2:15 a.m., same location. 2 minutes apart. 2 people. 1 plan. I stared at the data until it felt like my eyes were bleeding. She used him, I said. She recruited him, Vernon corrected. But yes, she used him. My lawyer warned me again that arbitration could bury this. Arbitration would keep it quiet. It would keep investors calm. It would keep the scandal small. That's what she wanted. So we built a different route. Vernon looked at me and said, if we move carefully, we can call an emergency board review. Not arbitration. A board review triggers fiduciary checks. It forces documentation. It forces accountability. And if she blocks it? I asked. She can't, he said. Not if we show cause. He slid a printed sheet toward me. A registry record. A company with a nearly identical name to ours. The director, Catherine's cousin. The address, a mailbox service. She planned to move the business out from under the company, he said. My throat tightened. She planned to destroy what we built. He nodded once. Now we decide how we reveal it. I took a long breath. Not messy, I said. Not cruel. Just undeniable. He gave a small nod. Then we build the reveal like a case file. Catherine invited the investors to a vision dinner before the arbitration date. She didn't invite me. Of course she didn't. But one investor, someone who had once praised both of us, sent me a short message. I'm sorry. She says you refused to work and demanded money. I stared at that line until my hands went numb. So she was already selling the story. Feeding them lies before I could speak. Vernon and I decided to attend. Not as a scene. Not as chaos. Just as presence. We walked in and the room went quiet for half a second. I felt eyes on me like heat. Catherine turned from a table of suits and smiled. Slow. A performance smile. "Oh," she said, loud enough for the room to hear. "You came." I kept my voice calm. I'm still a stakeholder. And my name is still tied to this company's history. She laughed lightly. "History, yes." Then she turned back to the investors like I wasn't worth the air. I approached one investor I trusted and said, "If you've heard things about me, I'm asking you to wait before you judge." He looked uncomfortable. She showed us emails. "What emails?" I asked. He hesitated, then sent them to me on his phone. When I opened them, my stomach dropped. They were edited. My words cropped out of context. Entire sections removed. Dates missing. Threads broken. A fake story made from real pieces. I looked up at Catherine across the room. She raised her glass, smiling like she had already won. Then her assistant bumped into me, flustered, and muttered, "Sorry, she's stressed, this invoice trail." He froze when he realized I heard him. My heart hammered. "Invoices." I repeated. He swallowed hard and walked away fast. Vernon leaned close. That was a slip. It was. And it smelled like something bigger than betrayal. It smelled like debt. The next day, we pulled financial records from every angle we legally could. We didn't need every detail. We needed the pattern. And the pattern was ugly. Borrowing. Large amounts. Short terms. High interest. Money moved in circles and disguised as operational costs. Vernon's face hardened as he read. She pledged projected revenue against loans, he said. I swallowed. Without telling me. She couldn't tell you, he said. You would have stopped it. My head spun. Why would she do that? He didn't answer right away. He tapped a line item. A transfer to a personal account, then a repayment. She was patching holes, he said quietly. Borrowing to cover borrowing. I felt sick. So the company was already bleeding before she cut me out. Yes, he said. Then my lawyer called. The arbitration is still scheduled, he said. And your former partner is attempting to enforce the settlement offer as your best option. My voice was steady, even when my insides weren't. I'm not signing anything. Good, my lawyer said. But be aware, she's likely planning to use something personal to pressure you. I stared at the folder on my laptop, my secrets inside it. I know, I whispered. That night, Catherine texted again. Last chance. Sign the settlement. Or I'll tell them everything. I didn't reply. Instead, I forwarded it to Vernon and said, she's threatening me. He replied with one line. Perfect. Keep it. That's intent. Then he sent the next step. Tomorrow, we meet the finance director. The finance director met us in a small meeting room, looking like he hadn't slept. He tried to act calm, but his eyes kept darting toward the door. Vernon spoke first. We have compliance logs. We have device IDs. We have access records. The finance director forced a smile. I don't know what you think you have. I slid the bank log across the table. His smile died. That device, Vernon said, is registered to you. The finance director's throat moved. He swallowed. It could be spoofed, he tried. Vernon leaned forward. Stop. We're past games. Silence filled the room like water. Finally, the finance director whispered, she promised me equity. My hands clenched. So you helped her steal from me. He flinched. I didn't think it was stealing. She said you agreed. She said you were leaving. I stared at him. And you didn't verify anything. He looked ashamed. She said investors demanded it. She said you were emotional and might sabotage things. The same words again. Emotional. Sabotage. Unstable. He rubbed his forehead. Then she threatened me. She said if I didn't help, she'd blame me for missing funds. I leaned closer. Why is she so desperate? He hesitated, then said, barely audible, she owes money. A lot. Personal debt. My heart thudded. Vernon asked, did she use company projections to secure it? The finance director shut his eyes. Yes. That answer landed like a bomb. Because now I understood the real plan. She wasn't just taking my shares. She was taking the company as collateral, then preparing to abandon it. And she needed me gone, so I couldn't stop her. We had enough to call the board. But we still needed one thing. Intent. Proof she planned to cut me out permanently, not temporarily like she claimed. We decided to bait her. Not with anger. Not with threats. With what she wanted most, control. I texted her. I'll sign the settlement. But I need to talk first. In person. She replied within 2 minutes. Good. Tomorrow. My office. No drama. When I walked into her office the next day, everything in it screamed victory. My old chair was gone. My framed photo with her had been replaced by a new one, her alone, shaking hands with an investor. She didn't offer me a seat. She leaned back at her desk like a queen. I'm glad you came to your senses, she said. I kept my voice quiet. I just want peace. She smiled. Peace is expensive. I placed the settlement on her desk. Before I sign, I need to understand something. She waved a hand. This again? It's business. But you said it was for us, I pressed. You said I'd get something in return. Her eyes narrowed slightly. You will. When? I asked. She leaned forward, voice low and sharp. When I decide it's wise. I swallowed. So I was never equal. Her smile widened. Too proud. You were always temporary. I was always the brand. There it was. Clean. Clear. Cruel. She didn't notice the small device in my bag, recording every word. And if I don't sign? I asked. She shrugged. Then I release what I have. The things you told me. People won't stand beside you. I nodded slowly, like I was defeated. Inside, I felt something settle. Not vengeance. Resolve. Because now I had what we needed. And the next part wouldn't be emotional. It would be factual. Vernon called the emergency board meeting for the following morning. Catherine arrived confident, dressed in power. She greeted board members like she owned them. In her mind, she did. She nodded at me once, like I was a reminder of a problem she already solved. The board chair started calmly. We received a report of irregular ownership transfer. Catherine smiled. I can explain. We streamlined leadership due to investor concerns. The chair held up a hand. Before you explain, we will review evidence. Catherine's smile stayed in place, but her eyes tightened. Vernon stood and began. He didn't insult her. He didn't raise his voice. He simply laid out the timeline. Dates. Access changes. The forged signature. Then he played the recording. Catherine's voice filled the room. You were always temporary. I was always the brand. Silence. Her cheeks drained of color. That's out of context, she snapped. Too fast. She's twisting my words. Vernon clicked another file. The bank logs appeared on the screen. 2 devices. 2 logins. 2 minutes apart. The board chair's voice went colder. Explain this. Catherine looked at the finance director, who stared at the table. You can't prove anything, she said. Vernon didn't blink. We can. Because we also have internal chat instructions to delete shared drives. He displayed the screenshots. Remove her access by Monday. Train managers. Say she's unstable. A board member exhaled sharply. Catherine's hands tightened into fists. Then she did what she always did when cornered. She tried to flip the story. She was holding us back, she said loudly. She didn't have what it takes to grow. The chair's eyes didn't move. We're not discussing opinions. We're discussing misconduct. Catherine opened her mouth again. The chair cut her off. And we're not finished. Vernon revealed the shadow company next. He displayed the registry record, the director name, the identical service categories. Catherine's throat worked as she swallowed. That's nothing, she said quickly. That's just a protective structure. Protective for who? The chair asked. Catherine forced a laugh. For us. Vernon then showed the transfer plan, Phase 2 spreadsheet. He zoomed in on the line that described moving assets, leaving liabilities, and relaunching without debt. The room went heavy. A board member leaned forward. Are you planning to strip assets from this company? Catherine's eyes flashed. No. Vernon clicked to the note at the bottom. If co-founder disputes, release file set A. I felt the sting of it again, the reminder that she planned to use my secrets. The chair turned to Catherine. What is file set A? Catherine's voice went sharp. Private matters. Nothing to do with business. The chair's tone was firm. If you used private material to threaten or coerce, it becomes relevant. Catherine's mask cracked for a second, and I saw fear behind her eyes. She stood abruptly. This is ridiculous. You're all being manipulated. The chair didn't move. Sit down. She didn't sit. Instead, she pointed at me. She's trying to destroy me because she can't accept that I'm the leader. I kept my voice steady. I didn't come here to destroy you. I came here to stop you from destroying everything we built. A board member asked, what about the debt report we received this morning? Catherine froze. What debt report? She demanded. Vernon's eyes were calm. The lenders reached out. Her face hardened. You contacted lenders? No, he said. They contacted the company because payments are due. The chair looked directly at her. Did you take personal loans against projected company revenue? Catherine's lips parted. No words came out. Because the answer was yes. The board didn't yell. They didn't need to. The chair spoke in clear, controlled language. Effective immediately, you are suspended from operational control pending investigation. Catherine laughed, but it sounded thin. You can't do that. We can, the chair said. And we will. She turned to the investors on the call screen. This is a mistake. I built this. One investor's face looked disgusted. You built a fraud. She flinched like she'd been slapped. Then she turned to me, eyes bright with fury. You set me up. I didn't raise my voice. You set yourself up when you forged my signature. She stepped forward like she wanted to lunge. Security, real security this time, moved closer. Her voice rose. I did it so we can get something in return. The chair replied, that is not a defense for deception. Catherine's eyes darted around the room. She realized nobody was moving to save her. Even the finance director avoided her gaze. The chair continued, we are freezing non-essential accounts. We will notify relevant authorities. We will pause asset transfers pending review. Catherine's breathing turned sharp. You can't freeze accounts. Payroll. That's why we're acting now, Vernon said. To protect the staff. Protect the staff. That was the heart of it. Not cruelty. Protection. Catherine looked like she might cry, but she swallowed it down and tried one last tactic. She leaned in close to me and hissed, if you think this ends well for you, you're stupid. I have your secrets. I met her stare. So do I. Her expression flickered. Because she didn't know what I had copied, what I had backed up, what I had recorded. And fear hates uncertainty. The chair said, escort her out. As security moved, she shouted, you'll regret this. Then the meeting ended. But the real collapse was still coming. Because outside, the world was watching. When we stepped out of the boardroom, the hallway was full. Employees. Phones raised. Whispers. Some looked shocked. Some looked angry. Some looked relieved. Catherine was escorted down the corridor, still trying to hold her chin high. But her voice cracked as she said, loud enough for everyone, I did it for the company. A manager, one who had repeated her talking points for weeks, looked away in shame. A staff member asked, did you really lie about her stealing? Catherine snapped, I didn't lie. I protected us. Nobody answered her. Because the truth had weight now. And lies feel light when they're exposed. Vernon stepped forward and addressed the team, calm and steady. There will be an internal review, he said. Operations will continue. Payroll will be protected. No one will be punished for being misled. Some people exhaled like they had been holding their breath for weeks. Then he added, if anyone has information that helps clarify events, you are safe to share it. I saw small shifts, people looking at each other, as if deciding. Catherine's eyes widened as she realized the team was no longer hers. On the way out, she leaned toward a staff member and whispered something harsh. Security guided her away. Once she was gone, silence fell. A young employee stepped forward, eyes wet. "I'm sorry," she said to me. "We believed her." I nodded gently. "I understand." She told the story first. Vernon turned to me as we walked toward the exit. "Now we stabilize." I swallowed. "Can we?" He met my eyes. "We can. But we need to move fast." She set fires. "What kind of fires?" I asked. He looked down at his phone as notifications piled in. The lenders. The vendors. The clients. Then his face tightened. And the shadow company just posted a grand opening teaser online. My stomach dropped. "She's still trying to relaunch," I whispered. He nodded once. "Then we end phase 2 before it begins." We contacted key clients directly. Not with drama. With facts. A simple message: leadership investigation underway, contracts protected, services uninterrupted, payments secured. Some clients stayed. Some paused. But the worst part wasn't clients. It was the lenders. They wanted reassurance. They wanted legal documents. They wanted board resolutions. If they didn't get them, they could seize assets. Catherine had tied a rope around the company's neck, and now the rope was tightening. Vernon worked non-stop, using board authority to freeze transfers and block any movement toward the shadow company. But Catherine wasn't finished. That evening, she posted a statement online. She called herself a victim of jealousy. She implied I had tried to extort her. She hinted at my personal secrets without naming them, letting people imagine the worst. Comments exploded. Some defended her. Some attacked me. I felt the old panic rise in my throat. Then I remembered the voice note. The threats. The forged signature. Facts. My lawyer advised, do not engage publicly yet. A public fight becomes entertainment. You need a clean resolution. Vernon agreed. So we built a sealed package for the board and legal counsel. Every file, every log, every recording, every screenshot. A single story told by evidence. Then Vernon said, "There's one more lever. She used your secrets as leverage. If she releases them, it could hurt you." I looked down. "She will." He nodded. "Then we preempt it. Not by exposing your secrets, by exposing her intent to weaponize them." We prepared a second file. The folder she built. File set A. Not the contents. The existence. The plan. The threat. Because people may forgive mistakes. They don't forgive calculated cruelty. And that was her real downfall. Not ambition. Not even theft. But cold, planned humiliation. The next day, Catherine tried to force my hand. She sent a mass email to staff from an account she still controlled, claiming the board had been misled and urging them to resign and join her new venture. It was bold. Desperate. A move made by someone who felt the ground slipping. She attached a sign-up form. She promised bonuses. She promised promotions. She promised a fresh start. But the board had already cut off her power. The email triggered an automatic security alert. Now we had proof she was still attempting to strip the company. The chair agreed to an immediate legal injunction against asset theft and brand confusion. Catherine responded by doing exactly what she threatened. She leaked a personal screenshot about me online, an old message where I described a painful moment in my life. It had nothing to do with business. But she posted it like it was proof of instability. For an hour, I couldn't breathe. Then something unexpected happened. People didn't laugh at me. They laughed at her. Comments appeared. Why is she posting private messages? This is nasty. Not business. She's proving the other one right. Even strangers could see the line she crossed. A staff member posted a reply under her leak. She forged documents. Don't let her distract you. Another employee shared. She told us to say the co-founder was unstable. It was scripted. The dam broke. Her own tactics became her evidence. She tried to destroy me. And instead, she exposed herself. Vernon called me and said, "This is the reveal you didn't plan." I swallowed. Is it enough? He replied, It's starting. The board released a formal statement, brief, factual, careful. It confirmed an investigation into fraudulent transfers, improper access changes, and attempted asset stripping. No insults. No personal attacks. Just truth. Then Vernon filed the injunction. The judge granted a temporary order quickly, based on the documentation. Catherine could no longer use the brand. She could no longer claim continuity. She could no longer move assets. The shadow company's teaser was removed within hours. She responded by going live, crying on camera, calling herself betrayed. She used the same line again. I did it so we can get something in return. It was strategy. But now, the word strategy sounded like a costume. People asked real questions in the comments. So why did you forge a signature? Why did you threaten her? Why did you delete files? Why did you borrow against projections? She couldn't answer those. Her voice started to shake as she tried to blame everyone else. Then a reporter reached out to the company. Not a gossip blogger. A business reporter. Because investors were talking, and lenders were asking. High stakes draw attention. The board declined interviews, staying measured. But the evidence still traveled. Quietly. Professionally. Vernon said, We don't need the internet to punish her. We need governance to correct the damage. I nodded, exhausted. And what about me? He looked at me seriously. We rebuild your stake. But more importantly, we rebuild your name. That was what I wanted most. Not revenge. Restoration. But the hardest part was still ahead. Because the company itself was wounded. And Catherine had left debt and fear behind like broken glass. For weeks, we worked like surgeons. The board negotiated with lenders. Vernon stabilized vendors. I met with clients and told the truth, calmly, without bitterness. Some clients returned because they respected transparency. Some left because they didn't want risk. I accepted that. Then the audit results came back. The damage was worse than we expected. Funds had been moved in ways that made recovery difficult. Catherine had used company money to cover personal obligations, then disguised it. Her strategy wasn't to grow. It was to survive her own choices. The board filed formal complaints. The finance director cooperated fully, hoping to reduce consequences. Catherine tried to threaten him too. He turned over messages. More proof. More intent. Then a final blow landed. A key investor who had once supported her pulled out publicly and cited breach of trust. That statement wasn't emotional. It was professional. And in business, that kind of statement spreads like wildfire. Catherine's network evaporated. People stopped replying to her calls. The shadow company's site went dark. Her lawyer contacted ours asking for mediation. Not because she wanted peace. Because she was trapped. Then the board chair called me into a quiet meeting. We can salvage the company, he said. But it will not look the same. I swallowed. What does that mean? It means we cut what's infected, he said. And we protect what's real. Then he looked at me. And it means you decide whether you want to stay tied to this brand or walk away and start clean. That question hit harder than betrayal. Because it forced me to choose my future. Not just survive my past. I thought about the years we built this. The late nights. The sacrifices. The birthdays I missed. The way we promised each other would never become like the people who used others. Staying meant fighting for a wounded company with a stained name. Leaving meant freedom, but also grief, because I would be letting go of something I loved. Vernon sat with me in silence while I decided. Finally, I said, I want my work back. My ideas. My name. But I don't want to keep bleeding for something she poisoned. The board understood. They negotiated a split structure. I recovered my intellectual property rights, certain products and concepts that were clearly mine, documented in drafts and timestamps. The company kept core contracts and stabilized under new leadership. And Catherine? She tried to claim she was still a victim. But the law doesn't care about victim stories when logs and signatures don't match. Her accounts stayed frozen. Her legal fees piled up. Her new venture couldn't launch under the injunction. And the lenders came for what she owed. One evening, she emailed me from a new address. Subject, we need to talk. The message was short. You're ruining everything. We built this together. I stared at it for a long time. Then I typed one sentence back. We built it together. You tried to own it alone. I didn't insult her. I didn't threaten her. I didn't need to. Because the consequences she created were already doing the work. When I finally launched my rebrand, it wasn't loud. No flashy party. No victory speech. Just a clean website. A small team. A quiet announcement to clients I trusted. I chose a name that didn't remind me of her. A name that belonged to me. On opening day, I walked into a modest office space, smaller than what we had, but honest. The staff member who gave me the USB joined my new team. 2 other employees followed later, quietly, without drama. They didn't come because they hated her. They came because they wanted stability. They wanted integrity. And they wanted leadership that didn't treat people like tools. Weeks later, I heard what happened to Catherine. The old company survived after restructuring, but it never felt like ours again, and I was glad of that. Her career, though, collapsed under investigation and debt. Relationships she once leaned on disappeared. The strategy she defended became the label attached to her name. Not genius. Not ambition. Deception. I didn't celebrate her downfall. I mourned what we could have been. But I also learned something that changed me forever. Trust is precious. And boundaries are not cruelty. They are protection. As I stood in my new office and watched the first client email come in, I realized the real revenge wasn't seeing her lose. It was seeing myself still standing. Still building. Without fear. Because she didn't destroy me. She destroyed herself, and the part of my life that was tied to her lies. And in the end, that was the cleanest victory of all.